Good morning. This is the Woolsey Mt Wilderness area, and I'm going to break here to talk about another Lupin anime.
Lupin the Third, The Fuma Conspiracy.
The plot of the Fuma Clan, or the Fuma Conspiracy, was a 1987 movie, the first OVA and fourth movie of the Lupin the Third franchise. It's an enjoyable action-adventure that has a few notable variations from most Lupin the Third videos. Goemon, the traditional samurai warrior member of Lupin's gang of likable thieves, is getting married. The bride is the lovely Murasaki, who apparently met and fell in love with Goemon several years ago during his training. So, Lupin III, a notorious international thief, has come to rural Japan for their very traditional wedding. Lupin's sidekick, Jii-san, is there too, of course. Jii-san usually wields a revolver like it was part of him, but he seems to have left it behind for the wedding ceremony. The sexy con woman Fujiko is there as well, behaving herself as best the greedy thief can. The wedding is interrupted by Ninja from the Fuma clan, an ancient rival of Murasaki's family, using the ceremony to steal a family heirloom, a vase that's supposedly the key to some lost treasure. Lupin's gang thwarts the robbery, but the Fuma take Murasaki hostage instead, offering to ransom her for the vase. Well, like the Three Musketeers, it's all for one and one for all, as Lupin and friends roll up their sleeves to help Goemon rescue Murasaki. Of course, it hasn't escaped Lupin's notice there's a treasure at stake here, but he vows that in this situation, the fair damsel comes first. Meanwhile, Interpol Inspector Zenigata had thought Lupin had died in an explosion at the end of their last adventure. Since Zenigata's lifelong mission has been to arrest the thief, he now feels empty, until he discovers Lupin is actually alive, and then his life has meaning again. And so he's off to rural Japan too.
Lupin, you're under arrest! Ah! I got you now!
Hey, let's get out of here!
You got it.
Ah! See?
Huh? What?
The adventure part of plot of the Fuma clan unfolds less like the usual Lupin III comedy imitation of a James Bond caper. Indiana Jones come to mind instead, because at one point there actually is a jaunt through a puzzle and trap-laden cavern to get to the treasure. It also brings to mind the castle of Cagliostro, Lupin III's previous movie outing, because of the wedding with a family heirloom that's key to an ancient treasure, and a climax that gives Goemon a chance this time to be the chivalrous hero who confronts the villain to rescue his fair lady. One thing it doesn't have is a sincere sense of romance. Goemon may be getting married, but his formal, stilted personality just doesn't have the style or eloquence that Lupin III brings as a leading man. Goemon's relationship with Murasaki, despite the flashbacks, just isn't very convincing. For his part, Lupin is displaying his most noble aspects of his personality. His larcenous and lecherous ways are pushed deep into the background so he can help his friend Goemon. Since that's my favorite Lupin III personality, I like it. Other characters are a little different too. All the bad guys have firearms, and Lupin packs his signature Walther. But for some reason, Jii-san doesn't have his signature revolver in most of the scenes. It's referenced as he tries to draw it a couple of times, but he seems naked without it. Fujiko turns down the sex appeal for this outing, which is as free of fan service almost as Castle Cagliostro. Fujiko also pitches in as an almost full-fledged member of the team for this occasion, with only a little of her usual competitive nature breaking through. This is a rather simple adventure story with plenty of fast-paced action and no time for the story to drag. The characters are a little shallow, but that's not really a flaw because the story keeps moving along. It also has a few cute nods to most long-time Lupin fans. While Lupin wears his third season green jacket throughout, when Murasaki changes in the back of Lupin's car, she comes out wearing Lupin's red jacket. We even get a never-before scene of a grieving Zenigata at home while the credits are rolling at the opening. Who knew he was a family man with kids? All the characters interact with plenty of good-natured humor throughout the video.
Fujiko! 待ち伏せに気をつけろよ！
オッケー
The Fuma Conspiracy was originally made as an OVA with a hefty budget for the animation. That animation shows its complexity and fluid movement throughout, and lots of extra animation in the action scenes, plus plenty of movement in the background. The director, Masayuki Ozaki, had worked on the Lupin III animation back to the original TV series, though this was his debut as director. Because of the expensive animation, the OVA was released to a few theaters, despite its television aspect ratio and mere 70 minutes of running time. Also because of that expense, it saved some money by changing the series' voice cast for all 5 major characters. So, this Lupin III outing sounds a little different than the established 3 TV series and 3 prior movies, much to the distress of fans who didn't care for the reboot. The next movie returned to the old voices, by the way. Of course, today, 40 years after the series began, all those voices have been replaced as the original cast has retired or passed away. The difference in sound also extended to a new composer, so Yuji Ono's signature Lupin III jazz theme is absent from this movie. In its place, the music sounds a bit more traditionally Japanese than most Lupin III outings, even in the upbeat comedic and action themes. The original composer would also return to score the next Lupin III movie. If they really wanted to save a few bucks, I wish they would have cut down on the length of the second overly long car chase. They animated the heck out of it, but after 5 minutes that part had gotten a little tedious for me. Still, I give Lupin III Plot of the Fuma Clan 4.5 stars. It's my second favorite Lupin III movie after Castle Cagliostro. Mostly, I like the sense of camaraderie and its more noble plotline. Also like Cagliostro, it's still fun to watch after all these years. This movie OVA was released twice in the US. The first time was by Animego, who dubbed it into English to VHS and Laserdisc, and pronounced the title character's name as Lupin to avoid copyright squabbles with the estate of the French creator of the original character. That dub was an early American anime attempt, and it's best ignored. The movie is currently available on DVD from Discotek with the English title The Fuma Conspiracy. That and the more recent First Contact Lupin III TV special are Discotek's only anime titles. They kept the same mediocre Animego dub for the Fuma Conspiracy DVD, but also provided the original Japanese soundtrack with subtitles, which I highly recommend despite its heresies with the voice cast. The DVD also has an English commentary track by American Reed Nelson on the Lupin III fan website, with some interesting tidbits about the Lupin III franchise in general. For anyone watching my videos for a long time, you may remember a little over 3 years ago I previously talked about the Fuma Conspiracy, but that's not on YouTube anymore because apparently TMS didn't like it. But since I've been talking about some other Lupin movies lately, I thought I'd want to come back and revisit this one as well. Thanks for watching.